remaster category for the Game Awards this year, though. Jeff, if you're out there, we're gonna need it.
Yeah.
So set that up. Zaid says, now that Mass Effect Legendary Edition is on Game Pass, I've been considering playing it. How does it hold up? Very good.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You could put that game against any game that came out last year, and it's probably still one of the top.
How does it hold up?
Came out.
It's still the best Western-made RPG ever. That's how it holds up. It's better than everything that comes out today. It destroys Cyberpunk. It's better than everything. That's no cap.
Okay,
Is it better than the GameCube?
It's Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Destroys The Witcher. Destroys all of them.
Okay.
It
He's,
destroy the
destroys
game?
all of
he's a
them.
little
Does it
much.
destroy the GameCube, OJ?
Yeah.
Which game?
Destroy the GameCube. The whole
The whole thing.
Just the GameCube in general.
We're not talking about that. Let's stay on topic here. And everything from the 7th generation and up.
From someone who had never played Mass Effect before, going off of just these guys, opinions, I played it for the first time last year, fell in love with it. It's one of my favorite games ever. So you should give it a try.
Damn straight.
The Legendary Edition is so much better than the original. That's the
Really
crazy
really
thing.
nice.
Hey, that first
Really
game
nice
feels like
backpack,
butter
though.
now.
It's so
It's
smooth. the
so much
transition.
better.
I think what I tell anyone that's thinking about Mass Effect is just play the first hour of the game, and if you don't like it, then you can just walk away. But most people get hooked.
This
Pretty
is
quickly.
from Penn asking, which past gen system would you play forever?
Neo Geo.
I'm gonna say PlayStation 2 because the library in that is just stupid. Like, it is ridiculous. So that's where I'm
PlayStation
going.
1.
Can I say OG Xbox and load it up full of emulators and ROMs?
No. Stock retail only.
No.
Thank you, but
Which
I'm
means
going-
the PS2 is also the PS1. There we go.
I'm going with the
Hey,
Game Boy
that's
Advance because I like a lot of the Game Boy Advance games, and technically I can get like NES and SNES games on the Game Boy Advance without ROMs. So it's
you could. Yeah.
I can go anywhere and play it. So
I mean, if we're talking backwards, why not a PS3 backwards? That way you
Yeah,
get
I just
PS3,
ruined my
PS2,
argument
PS1.
there. Okay, so it has to be, you have to pick the one system. That's fine. PS2. I'm still sticking with PS2.
PS1.
There you
I-
go.
I need my Bayonetta. I need my Smash Brothers. So I gotta go with Switch.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Xbox 360 there for a minute.
I was actually afraid you were about to say Wii U. And I was
You
gonna
still
go,
get your
"Yeah."
Mass Effect. You still
No.
get Bayonetta.
I got all the Bayonetta games on Switch.
you go.
1, 2 are both on. I got Smash Brothers. I gotta pick that one because I need my
wasn't even-
Bayonetta.
Did
and my
I say past gen though? You can't do current.
I thought-
Oh, they did say
Oh,
past
did he
gen.
say past gen? I thought he just
he
said pick the system.
Past gen.
Oh
Yeah.
it's
shit!
the Wii U for you.
No, not the Wii U. No, I would pick like
Oh, no, it's
Game
XSplit.
A wild
something.
Sean
like the
has
GameCube or
appeared.
PS2.
And at long last,
Oh, he's happy
Here.
today. Oh, he's happy today.
Smile. He's smiling.
Did the millionaires win?
Today.
He's so happy.
People
was
completely
beautiful.
unrelated to his life did a thing.
Oh,
It impacts my life though.
It impacts his
It
life.
definitely affects his life. I've seen him after he's lost getting on Halo. It's really sad. Solemn. And then exploding into rage after somebody
The
drive
Knicks
by
are playing
teabags
good,
him.
Sean. They're playing good the past few games. They're playing good, man.
I think they're last 10. They're 7-3 or 8-2.
Yeah, they're playing good. I like it.
Sean, which past gen system would you play forever?
Like,
Virtual
do I
Boy.
have a complete library?
No, just like they're just asking. You have to pick one last gen system. You have access to all the games. Which one would you
We're
pick?
assuming it's the system and everything.
Yes.
Just no backwards compatibility, so you can't be like
Yes.
PS2 for PS1 or anything like that.
But I could choose something like the PS2, right?
And then
Yeah,
you only
I
get the
picked the
PS2
PS2.
games. Yeah.
I
you're
pick
not
PS2.
allowed.
I'd probably pick the PS2 just because there's so many
The library, yeah.
games. You know,
Yep.
as long as I have like an HDMI solution for it.
No HDMI.
That's asking too much.
Asking too much.
You,
They
but you,
got-
get, but you get the Sony. You get the Sony TV.
The 3D
PS2 is
work.
great. You get God of War 1
No,
and God of War 2.
the really nice, the
3D.
really nice CRT.
You get a
Oh, I got one.
Sylvania. You get a Sylvania television with a composite output. That's what you
wait,
get.
Dreamcast guy. How dare you not say the Dreamcast?
You know, I'm in a weird
That's a
spot
good-
where I have played every Dreamcast game so
You're good.
much, especially now. Like I've played so many of them. I've done master files of pretty much every single game. I'm at a point where I want to play the weird PlayStation 1 games I missed.
Gotcha.
This is from Cristobal saying, "Hi OJ, Max, Misclick, and Jordan. Thanks MVG for Shadow Man Remastered.
Oh yeah. Check out Shadow Man.
And RGT interviews with Spawnwave. That was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time with that. Too bad on NFTs and Double Edged Sword on G4 TV.
Did we talk
you go.
any about that?
No,
The
we
NFTs.
didn't. Yeah. Why, Sean? You want to speak on G4 TV?
I mean, we can.
You can speak on G4 TV. I like Cinematech back in the day.
Are we light on topics? Is that why?
I mean, we still have Xbox and PlayStation, Xbox One and PlayStation 4,
As well as a handful
different
of,
directions for both of them.
questions.
Oh,
but
man.
yeah.
and a couple of Discord questions left.
Yeah,
Why,
so we
you
got
want to speak? You want to speak on G4 TV, Sean? Now that you're here,
Sure. G4 is a product of nostalgia, which a lot of things are. I never thought it was necessary for it to come back. I thought it was really weird because the reason why G4 back in the day was successful is because that's all we had. We didn't have YouTube and high-speed internet. Your best friend might have had DLS, or DSL, excuse me. It was DSL.
DSL. You're
DSL.
right. Yeah.
Second lips.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, your best friend might have had
Go
dick
on.
sucking lips if you were lucky now. But you were, that was it. That was it. You could watch shows about video games. I didn't watch it much, but when I did catch it, I enjoyed it. It just felt like it was unnecessary to come back. And then the whole thing with the lady, I do get where she's coming from because obviously women do, as a show Bob's like all the time sort of thing. But I feel like a lot of people that were disgruntled with her weren't disgruntled with her because she was a woman. I think it was just because she was talking out her ass on a lot of things. And it's like, if
On
you don't
other
know what,
topics.
Hmm?
On other topics.
yeah, like on like talking about like some games. What was the thing?
The one that got her in the most trouble is she had a 5-minute rant where she said PlayStation has no games whatsoever or something.
Yeah,
like that.
like,
And everyone's
it's
like,
like-
what the hell are you talking about?
It's just kind of weird. So, that's my thing. I definitely understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, I don't feel like you could just take all the criticism and put it into one sphere because, she felt like people were just being misogynistic towards her when,
Yeah.
I mean, that was my whole thing. Like, obviously, there's going to be people on the internet who are misogynistic and troll accounts and stuff like that. First off, she needs to learn to try to ignore that stuff as best as possible because, I mean, while it sucks, it's the anonymity of the internet. It's not like who this person is, what they do for a living. I'm sure if that information was available readily on the internet, people would be little quiet church mouses instead of talking all big, talking shit to people all the time. But that was my whole thing on it. I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, I do feel like there are valid criticisms as to what she was saying or as to why some people were like, she kind of sucks,
She even backtracked a little bit the next day. I just want to say this real quick. Obviously, misclick, you got something to say, but she actually backtracked on Twitter the next day. She basically was like, "Oh, people are upset that I keep getting information wrong. I'll work on that." It's like, "Oh, okay, you didn't even notice that's what people kept saying."
Well, okay, so I didn't know about the whole situation. I only saw what she said during that specific clip that people are talking about. And in that clip by itself, without knowing context, I agree. Because I think whether you're a guy, girl, whatever you identify as, is we've all said incorrect things. Or we've said a minor statement and it was incorrect and someone corrected us. I think being
Clone
able to
N64
gracefully say,
systems.
I think being able to gracefully say, "Hey, I was wrong. Thanks for pointing that out." I think that's a powerful thing to say, whether you're a guy or a girl. I think the difference, though, is when a guy says something incorrect, oftentimes more than not, it's like, this guy is just dumb, like he doesn't know what he's doing. Versus if a girl says something incorrect, it's like, this is why she's a fake gamer. This is why women should go back to the kitchen. This is why women should be on their knees, like serving me food. Like guys don't necessarily get that. So if a girl, there's more, honestly, more at stake, I think, sometimes, not always, but more often than not, if something is said incorrectly or someone has a bad opinion, if it's a girl, it's on a lot of times it is invalidated. And, we want to say, like, just ignore it. I think 100 days you can ignore it, and then on that 101st day, something just gets you. Like, it's just the straw that breaks the camel's back, and you can be good about it for 100 days. And then on that, again, the 101st day, that's when people notice. So I think, again, if she was wrong, her going back and saying, if I was wrong, that's about what we're talking about, not me being a woman. So that's good. I just think it's differentiating when we say troll accounts. I don't even think they're troll accounts anymore a lot of times. Like, these are just people who genuinely hate just to hate. And sure, there are troll accounts mixed in, But again, I think it's just like that extra element of people just getting away with saying really, really mean things that oftentimes a lot of guys don't have to. And to be honest, guys go through a lot of crap too. Like, I'm not negating what guys, content creators go through. Like, believe me, these guys go through plenty of stuff too. But a lot of the stuff that I get, a lot of the harassment that I get is a little bit different than what the guys get. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's used as almost seen as a weakness that I am a woman. And that's not fair. And you guys have been super supportive of me. I think, again, if you're going to stick your heels in the dirt and not admit when you're wrong, that's a little bit different of a case than insulting someone just because they're a woman.
Yeah, I did like her rant. People were kind of mad about it, but I think she brought up such a great thing about how, like, so many insults online are gendered insults towards women.
Yes.
Where, like, people will
That's
say I
the thing.
suck. Literally in the chat right now, people will say I suck. Who cares? But people, when they're mad at Miss Click, are like, you dumb bitch. It's always like, whoa, what the hell? This is so much more personal.
Yeah.
I get where she's coming from, and I get what Click's. I mean, as black content creator in a space that's dominated by mostly white people, let's just be real here. The Nintendo community, content creators, it's majority of that. So I get the racism and stuff like that, but you just gotta, the way that she kind of lashed out, like I lash out at some people, but the difference is like she was kind of like going scorched earth, you know? And I think that's what kind of got it. She went scorched earth.
Was
You know?
probably extreme. Sure.
Yeah. She went scorched
100%
earth,
day.
and maybe you should just roast. I like to roast a person. I'll just roast that person. I'm not gonna bring in everybody's this. I'm just gonna roast that person, and I'm gonna involve everybody else to help roast that person.
People watching you.
What's up?
If you have thousands of people watching you, you know, it's probably like, 20, 30 messages just up on a wall.
Yeah,
one after
and
the other. It's hard
it's
to follow
about
one person.
Yeah, and I've had people hate raid me on Twitch, and it's a bunch of people saying stuff, and most people aren't misogynistic. Most people aren't sexist, you know? But I mean, I understand what she's saying. Like, I agree with some of the stuff. It was just, some of the things that she said was just kind of weird. It was just like, she's like, oh, well, if Adam says something, they don't like it's the same thing. Well, yeah, that's how it is. There's times when I say something, people don't like what I say because they don't like me or whatever, for whatever reason. Or you can say something, but if RGT says something in the same video, they have no problem with it. If John says something, they have no problem. I'm not going to bring up the examples, but I've literally said the same thing John has said sometimes. And like, the same people will say, you're stupid, OJ. But then when John says, oh, well, okay. It's just because they like somebody one more. It's not necessarily gendered sometimes. It's just they don't like one person and they like somebody else because maybe something they said before. So I think that's why I said like the whole scorched earth thing was just like, you know, but I get where she's coming from. I understand why she's upset, man. For real. Like I get that. I get all that because yeah, women have to deal with a ton of stuff, you know, it's a lot. So
I wanted an example of one thing that you did and John did.
I ain't gonna say it. No, I ain't gonna say it because there's no need. But I'll tell you guys after the show.
Okay, cool.
I know one too. Yeah, after the show, I know one that I saw. That was ridiculous.
I'm a little confused. Did she see this while they were like on camera?
I think
They
it was
were
like
seeing Twitch chat as it was happening.
Why
too.
is the producer showing them the Twitch chat?
I think
Well,
they're
they-
It's
responding
supposed
to
to
it.
be interact because really, unless it's a main thing, if you go to their Twitch channel, I mean, we're not really talking all that high enough. I mean, we're doing similar, if not better, numbers than they are on their Twitch channel for the downtime
Well,
stuff
they
because
were-
they're going.
No, they did the D&D stuff, and they had like 24,000 people. It
The
was awesome.
D&D community on Twitch is huge, and after the whole
huge.
thing that happened with what was his name?
They were having to moderate a lot, and she's on that show, and there was like a lot of stuff going on there too. So
Well,
It just
so
seems
one-
like an easy way to derail the entire show, and that's what people who make those comments want in the first place.
Right.
So I'm not sure
Yeah.
why they're going that route. Why wouldn't they produce
it's
and manage
standard
it better?
procedure right now. So a good friend of mine in real life is a big esports caster, and she's a woman. And a lot of times, what they'll do is while they're on stage, they're on the set, and there'll be these big screen TVs of live chat. And she had a time recently where people were saying horrible, really mean. Calling her, really making fun of how she looks physically, and she just sees humongous text floating next to her, the camera. Basically, there's a teleprompter, and 1 foot to the left is, kill yourself, fatty, or whatever. And it's like, oh wow, that's great.
That's terrible, man. Like I
And
hate.
it's like it messes with you, and you're being watched by 10,000 people. It's hard not to occasionally be like, hey,
I'm not
screw
blaming her
that
for
guy.
doing that too, by the way. I'm not saying that she shouldn't have. Like, yeah, you get frustrated. Heck, I've blown up on stream sometimes too. So I'm not even gonna sit there and say she shouldn't have said it, you know? Yeah, she was upset. She was frustrated. Clearly she's human. She's upset. She wouldn't do it if she wasn't. She wouldn't do it if this only happened 1 or 2 times. There's no way in hell she would have done it because she's been around for a long time creating content. She has tons of followers on Twitter and all that. So it's because it's been piling up and you get frustrated. I see exactly what she's seen in other type of ways in my own struggles with stuff. So I ain't mad at her that she did it. Yeah, she blew up and maybe she got some stuff wrong. But sometimes when you're upset, you say things wrong or whatever, you know? So, and they got 100,000 views from that video. So there you go.
I think G4 in general, though, Sean, you're probably right in that it's not the same as it used to be for them. So I think in general they're having a hard time adapting.
I mean, if we really want to get into this and name names and stuff, like I'll do it. I don't care.
What? No, don't.
No, I don't care. I burn bridges before I even come to them sometimes.
It was good to know all of you.
I don't want to be disrespecting.
Can I not get burnt too on the bridge that you're on? I don't want to get roasted too.
Quick, everyone turn their cameras off. It might be better.
He's walking out with matches. Being like, you want to get hurt?
Fine, Sean.
I think everyone understands that when I speak, it's just for me.
No.
And if you don't,
Well,
all right, go ahead and
You're
talk.
getting
I'll just
clipped.
be
We're
right
all
here.
getting clipped.
no, I mean, it's just when you
Your
look
name's
at
still up, MVG. They know it's you, bro.
when you look at Adam Sessler, he's been the main driving force of that channel the whole time.
True.
Go watch G4 back in the day, and there's tons of sexual innuendo and jokes from that time frame, that early 2000s time frame. Some of the skits were based on sexual innuendo, and then you relaunch it and then you try to complete the complete opposite. I think people are going to be confused about that. Same branding, same name, some of the same people who haven't moved on with their life. So it's sort of a product of what you've created, because you didn't have that moment. Like a lot of people, when they first, so compare yourself to 10 years ago. You're probably different in some regards. You're probably different in the things you say and how you view different things. You're probably a better person because that's what we all strive to be.
Wait.
Well, I mean, that's what we mostly strive to be. People either go up or they go down for the most part. But you're able to watch that trajectory, especially if it's someone who's on YouTube, because you're constantly conveying things out there. G4 had, a 15-year gap between when they were last on television to when they're back. So they didn't have that chance to do that character redemption to show they're different now. And they just sort of launched out there.
That's true.
With the same
technically,
sort of thing.
I've been watching. Adam Sessler's been working for a series of websites, and I was watching him. I don't know why I'm such an Adam Sessler fan, but I am. I actually watched him when he worked on Rev3 Games. He was doing a bunch of reviews and stuff. So I've seen the slow evolution of him becoming this soft old bitch old man. But it's been interesting seeing him just try and fit in a network setting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just one of the main things about it is the original G4 was that, because and once again at that time, early 2000s, most of us on the show were teens to early or to late teens, early 20s. Your libido's running, and that was the video game crowd, that older video game crowd. Didn't quite exist like it does now with people like our age, because we've become those people because it was such a new medium. So I feel like they were targeting that audience because that's the audience that was watching them. Some 40-year-old guy probably wasn't watching G4 TV at the time. It was mostly a younger audience. So like I said, it was a product of its environment, but we never got to see that product sort of expand and move away from that. It was just the product was there, the product went off, and then the product came back. So that you have that huge gap where people expect it. The kids nowadays, maybe they saw, a clip of Morgan Webb and they were like, oh man, yeah, this is gonna be hot. And then you watch the show and it's like, oh, this is different. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on it.
think just because it was obvious, I'm not saying you're advocating, but I'm just saying for a lot of people, like you have to also consider me as a young girl watching that growing up was a little bit different. And to be honest, I advocated to not be a certain kind of way. And I didn't like necessarily a lot of stuff that was portrayed on there. And if anything, it motivated me to create a space one day when I grew up of like, I know when I do something, it's not going to be at the hands of someone else choosing what I do. And people who were on that programming back then, obviously they agreed to be doing a lot of what happened back then, but just because it did doesn't mean it's okay. You look back at a lot of the stuff and it's like, oh, that's kind of like not really necessarily the best. So I think, again, if they had marketed that they were changed, they obviously would receive a lot of hate back. But I think because they didn't market enough, like you said, they kind of just launched right away. People were expecting one thing. There wasn't really any information that there is kind of an evolving situation with how G4 is going to represent itself. And again, I think it just comes back to nostalgia, people expecting things. And when it doesn't meet their expectation, it's like, okay, well, respect the personalities that are on there now. Or, you know, if you don't like it, don't like it. But don't be going hatefully after these people. Like they are.
I think just times have changed both ways. Like back then, it was just a one-way show. They would just air the episodes and that was it. They wouldn't hear the person screaming in their living room. Now they can see it in front of them in real time, and I think they're having a hard time adjusting necessarily.
Yeah, that's true.
They need to adjust. They need to just ignore it. For G4 as a company,
that's what I would do.
Well, I know it sucks and they can't, but for the sake of the young lady and the Black Hokage dude that's on there and all the other people and Gerard, the completionist, he's on there. He's dealt with some stuff, you know, mentally. Just let them do their episodes and let them do their shows and don't show them live chats and all. They've got a production team.
Yeah.
Do they need to see live chats, or the production team can take the brunt of that?
Yeah, no. If they want the
cipher
interaction,
the good comments to them.
If they want the interaction,
though,
that's what news channels do. Is they don't let you see like anyone saying anything live. They always give you like that tweet that they filtered in or that comment they filtered in.
It throws off the whole show.
I think they wanted to approach it more like on the ground level versus being like a cable show. But obviously not at this point. And now that this has obviously been such a thing, the actual, you know, people like attempting to get a rise again are going to be at this more than ever. Unfortunately, when you say things out loud, it's going to get worse. And again, I feel sorry for those people who try to make things worse. Like, how miserable is your life that's what you waste your time doing? But that's their prerogative. Like at this point, like just focus. You said what you got to say, but you know, whatever the backlash is, you just got to focus. Don't look at the chat and just do your thing. Do what you love to do. And the people who hate it will hate it. And the people who love it, love it.
Imagine what like teams do, like football teams and all that. Like when they read all the crazy stuff that happens, or certain, like you can't, you just got to let it rock. You know, whatever they say, that's whatever, but just make your content, you know?
Sure.
There's a great quote I like that said, Beyonce is not reading YouTube comments. And I've always liked that idea of like, if just go out there, make your stuff. If people hate it, it'll find its way back to you. But don't sit there and obsessively stare into the criticism because
it'll tear you apart. It really will. Yeah.
Beyonce's fans will tear you apart before she even gets.
Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
Beehive, oh my god!
I've seen those people on Twitter. I'm like, holy shit.
They're not intelligent and they're also active. So I mean, like, it's like a combination. It's the double whammy. They're stupid and they come after you hard. So I mean, it's like
they live on Twitter and they are dumb as hell.
They're dumb as hell. Like they really are stupid, but they'll come after you, man.
They should just make more icons. That's all. X-Play, icons.
Oh, yeah,
and
documentaries.
Those are the good ones.
I think they should just go away.
Icons is good. Icons is really good.
I agree. That we're in a space now where these people, honestly, Gerard spending so much time on this, I'd rather just him do more YouTube videos.
Right? I feel like the personalities are spending a lot of time trying to make this work, trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I feel like in a year from now, we're going to be having the conversation. Oh yeah, remember how G4 came back for a couple months and then went away? Like I fully believe it's not making it out of 2022.
That's kind of how I'm seeing it right now too. So
we'll see though. I wish him luck, but you know, I just don't necessarily think it's super necessary.
Yeah. Well, we got a Discord question over there, one.
Is Kirby's 30th anniversary going to get more love than Zelda's 35th?
Maybe.
It might, because they're supposed to be doing more stuff with games and some merchandise and stuff.
Probably just gonna be a tilt and tumble Game and Watch or something, right? Like,
I mean, maybe, yeah. Apparently it's gonna be a smaller game that they're gonna release too, and they're gonna have a bunch of merchandise and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it might.
Where's the all pink Kirby Switch? That's the one I want.
Ooh, that'd
I'd
be
buy
cool.
that.
It has like a marshmallow feel on the outside of
Does
it.
it just
too.
have like 2 eyes on the back, and then a face, like a face on the back, said the Switch
Oh, that'd
logo?
be so cute.
I'd love that.
Be a good. I think they'd do it as Switch Lite. That'd be cool.
Oh, I was gonna say Switch dock could be like his mouth. Like when you set it in, it's the eyes and then his
Go
mouth.
on.
They just like making Switch
What?
Lites though.
Yeah, they do.
Got another one, Evan?
Is there any actual chance that we could see GameCube games come to NSO, or is it more likely that they'll just release ports of them?
They'll just release port like Metroid Prime HD. That's going to be. I feel like that's going to be a $60 game, and that's going to be a whole conversation on its own when that gets revealed.
Good. I'm paying for it, baby. Metroid Prime. Yep.
Yeah, I would like Metroid Prime as well, but I understand people are looking at me like that's a GameCube game and it's $60. And be like,
They might throw
Yeah.
some online in there to test things out. For
I would like to see them have some kind of surprise. That would be really cool. Yes.
How
mean,
is
online-
Metroid Prime on the
In
GameCube today?
Metroid Prime 1? They make an online mode for that game, or
No, I'm saying they could include one.
Metroid Prime 2's multiplayer?
Yeah,
They
sure.
could probably do something to throw it in there just to
Okay.
try it out.
It doesn't have to be robust or anything like that, but at least try. Because I mean, I think we all assume that Prime 4 is going to have some online capability with it, right?
I would think so. Yeah, for multiplayer.
So
yeah.
this is a good way to sort of test out what works and maybe what doesn't work. You know, use it as a bit of a test.
Federation Force HD.
Stop it.
let's talk about the PlayStation 4 first. So we had a report from Bloomberg saying that Sony is going to be creating another 1 million PlayStation 4 systems for 2022, which goes against their original plans. They were apparently going to be discontinuing the PS4 like last year, at the end of last year, 2021, and then just go full speed ahead on the PS5. But they're having a hard time getting parts to make it, and they've realized that the PS4 is cheaper to make, so that actually works into the bottom line for getting parts for the PS5 by allowing these companies and suppliers to create PS4s and make more money that way. So it works out for their deal for PS5 parts. So another year for PS4s.
Yep.
Yep.
It's very
everyone-
strange, but I mean, it kind of makes sense. I've seen a bunch of people confused about this, but it seems like because so many of the big PlayStation 5 games right now are cross-gen, the fact that Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo, despite the fact that all the trailers still say PS5, freaking God of War Ragnarok, everything is going to be on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So I feel like this is two things at once. It's just to make more systems so you can buy something. And I do think that part of this is because they want to sell as many copies of God of War as humanly possible. And this can kind of help with that.
The thing with this though is this part technically isn't new for Sony because they made the PS3, the PS2 like years even after the new system came out. It's the cross-gen development that's new for them. Like they have never done this before for first parties standpoint. It's always third party would do it. You know, they'd be like, oh, we'll make something for the PS3 and the PS4 at the same time. Not Sony's first party though. Not like you got like Gorilla in there or some of these others. It's a strange situation Sony's in right now between like the PS4 and the PS5.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting because I mean we already know what's coming cross-gen, but if there's new announcements this year,
There will be.
then
And there will be PlayStation 4. I told y'all like a couple weeks ago. I said we're gonna see new PlayStation 4 first-party games in 2023. I have zero doubts about it, and all this is doing is just reaffirming my theory because Jim Ryan's a liar.
I agree with you now. I did not believe you a couple weeks ago, but with this news, I believe you now.
But what games are these going to be big games? Or these going to be smaller games, right? They're not going to be like.
I think they're going to be on the
first
level.
party.
I
They'll
kind
be
of feel like they're
first
going to be a
party.
level of like a Concrete Genie or something, maybe. You think they're going to do like the next big title? It's going to be like PS4 and PS5 also.
Yeah, I think so. I think Sean's right. And do you remember like a couple of years ago when Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2 were supposed to be the last PS4 games? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
what
Swan
to what
Song
Sean said, I don't think that Jim Ryan is a liar. I mean, it's easy to say yes, he is a liar, but I mean, I think really at the end of the day, this is a rolling with the punches type deal, in my opinion.
Let me ask you this.
Got to roll with the punches, man.
New Infamous gets announced. Is it PS4 and PS5?
Yes.
When's it coming out? When's
Yes.
it coming out?
That's a good
Is
question.
it coming out, Jordan?
2024.
I'm hoping it's 2023.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If it's coming out next year, it's being devved on a PS4 dev kit.
Yeah.
Last of Us remake.
This year and cross-gen.
Oh,
Last of Us remake is probably exclusive, right?
Put the remake on the PS4.
Who would buy that again on PS4?
You can either get the remaster on PS4 or the remake.
Yeah. I've seen the amount of people I've seen lining up to buy that thing before even knowing it exists.
They will buy it again. You do Uncharted 4, if they remade Uncharted 4, people would buy that.
I don't
again.
think they're gonna sell them in stores. I think they're just gonna be on their website because $1 million they're gonna do globally. So I think you go to PlayStation Direct, you buy and it's a PS4 Slim. It's not even the Pro. It's just the Slim, $300 Slim. Yeah, it's just the Slim. It's the cheapest one to make. And think about it, it's $300. It's the same price as the Series S.
All right, big question because this one may be a little further out. We don't know. Spider-Man 2.
No. Oh, that's PS5.
No
that's
way.
only PS5. That's gotta be.
That's where we're drawing the limit.
I will tell you this: if they show up with a PS4 logo, people really got to ask some questions. Then, all right.
Here's the thing, though. I think they want to do that on PS4 because look at how good Miles Morales has sold. Look at how good the Spider-Man game. That's the huge audience, right? That's expanded audience game for them. And if you don't have it on PS4 and it's only PS5. The chip shortage isn't completely gone in next year, right? 2023, that game's coming out 2023, right? Yeah. So it's slated for that. So if you don't have it on PS4, that is a lot of lost sales. That's going to be a ton of lost sales.
The main rumor, though, is that it's heavily focused on multiplayer, that the game is going to be playable co-op with Miles Morales and Spider-Man simultaneously. That's the only reason I think it won't be on PlayStation 4 is technical holdback, because I do think they'll need the PlayStation 5 to render simultaneous New York City.
Just going to have to swallow the bullet or bite the bullet, whatever that expression is on that one, because they're losing a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money lost.
Someone in the chat brought this up. I do want to say, if we are getting an Infamous 3 anytime soon, I do think there's a very high chance we are getting some sort of remastered pack.
Oh yeah, they want to bring 1 and 2 up, right?
I think we get 1 and 2 remastered, and then like a free download code of Second Son for like PlayStation 5 or something.
That'd be real. I'd pay a lot of money.
I'd pay a lot of money for that. The second game still looks great. Yeah. You know, Second Son looks fantastic, but the first game is great and it really needs a facelift. So that would be fantastic.
I'd play
The
it.
story of 1 is still
Yeah.
the best.
It's a
yeah,
great
I still
story.
like
It
1 the
just
most.
doesn't look,
Yeah.
don't look too great looking
Ooh.
back at the game right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, question though. Question: if they did a full remaster pack for Infamous, do they announce it as PS5 and PC?
Yeah, I'd say that's an easy dub. You just
think
throw that
so?
right on there.
Easy.
Yeah, why not?
Easy dub.
Easy dub, throw it on there. Why not?
Business wise, yes, but I don't think Sony wants to do day one quite yet.
No.
Well, this isn't quite yet. I think this is still a little ways out. I think this is either late this year, next year.
Well, it kind of reminds me
think
of.
they wanna
It kind
do
of
that
reminds
this
me.
year, though.
It kind of reminds me of the Uncharted collection they're doing. That's going to
Yeah.
PC the same day as the PS5.
Yeah, because it's not new. You know, like even if they
I'm
even if
feeling
they
you.
remaster a bit of the first game, it's still not new. They can easily just say, "Oh, it's on
Yeah,
everything."
I see what you're saying. I agree, and yeah, I think it could because it's free money at that point. You've already made the game, just throw it
Yeah.
out there.
Okay. Next
Nah.
question: does the Infamous announcement happen before the Bloodborne patch?
What
Yeah.
one patch?
What Bloodborne
One
patch?
Bloodborne patch.
the Bloodborne patch that comes out with Silent Hill.
See, now we're getting somewhere. It's a pre-order bonus. There we go. I think by the end of 2022 we'll be past the PS4. I think this is kind of like, well, we got to make something. Let's make PS4 systems because God of War will be on the PS4, and we assume that's like the last release for Sony of 2022, September, October release or something.
When's Gran Turismo?
That's
March.
March.
Oh, is that
March.
Oh, I thought it was later. Cool.
Nope,
Okay,
March.
cool.
Yep. And then I have some over the summer. They'll be talking about PSVR 2 a lot, I believe, this year. So that'll all be PS5 only stuff. And Sean's our resident VR expert now. So
Yes,
he'll
I'm
keep us up
excited
to date on that. We'll see. I think by the end of this year, we'll be past the PS. People probably won't even notice that they'll discontinue the PS4, similar to what happened to the Xbox One, because I have to imagine that this news, after it broke about a PS4 from Sony, that I think The Verge, they asked Microsoft about the Xbox One. And is anyone, I mean, we all figured the Xbox One was discontinued. I haven't seen a new Xbox One system in a store or on Microsoft's website in a long time. And Microsoft said they had discontinued it at the end of 2020. They just didn't make a big deal about it. They just moved on from it. So
I'd seen
Right,
a console, but I guess that's just backstock.
it's a weird situation because when we started this generation up and there were a lot of announcements, Microsoft was definitely the one who was like, yeah, we'll do cross-gen. It's cool. Don't worry about it. And if I just remember them, a lot of backlash hitting them, and Jim Ryan was very strategically very quiet on the other side. And now it's really flipped completely around to where it's just series systems and PS4 and cross-gen on the other side with Sony.
It's because they never really made a quote unquote new console from scratch. They just upgraded the console, where Sony was like, here's the next
That's a good point.
console.
It's same OS and
looks
everything.
the
Yeah.
same, it acts the same, it's just
Yep.
more powerful. So it's just an upgrade. So where the Xbox Ones are phased out, the Series S is kind of the baseline replacement, and then with obviously the X being
I mean, I can't blame Microsoft. I'd be getting away from that generation as fast as I can too. I'd be running away from that thing because it was not a great generation for Microsoft over. I mean, it was better than the original Xbox in terms of sales, but like compared to the 360, it was definitely a downturn for
But I
everything.
love the
so.
Series X. It's my most used console.
I mean, the Series X is a good system. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just mean like the
Series,
Xbox
exactly.
One.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the
Xbox One
VR.
X is good. Xbox One X is a good console too. I think that.
Yeah, that one was great.
You know
Yeah,
what my
it's a
problem
solid-
is now? I plugged in like my PS4 because I needed a save off of it for it might have been Final Fantasy 7 Remake because I want to do some intergrade. And dude, that system is so slow to do everything now. And I think it's just because the SSDs now and these like I see a load screen, I'm just immediately mad. Like just,
Yeah. Well, even the
immediately.
menus, whenever you try and open up, you click the thing where you're like, I want to look at the previous games I've owned on the PlayStation 4. Each individual picture slowly pops in. It's like,
yeah, that's the biggest thing I think that we're going to get used to this generation. And if we ever go back to those systems for like a fun nostalgia trip or something, there's gonna be like, oh man, I forgot how long it takes to do everything on these systems now.
Yeah.
So-
The speed of the Xbox Series and the PS5 is really impressive and great.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. The systems now are just so fast and they're not loud. So it's just overall just better experience for the most part. But you're right, Jordan, it's basically just like an upgraded Xbox
Yeah.
One, basically. So
Just upgrading it.
yeah, but we're going to start seeing those Xbox Series only games now. Redfall, right? That's coming up. We have Stalker 2, I believe making this year. We'll see. That's
Eventually.
December.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They had to rip those NFTs out of there, ruin the whole thing.
Wait. What else has Microsoft got this year? Stalker 2 got delayed. Redfall.
got delayed.
What else?
Back Redfall, then they have Starfield.
Isn't word on the street that Redfall's getting delayed? So
Yeah, there's a rumor. There's
Oh.
a rumor that Redfall's getting delayed.
That wouldn't surprise me though, because I was a little surprised that was coming out like a year after they showed it.
I guess another Forza Motorsport game is.
Yeah, mainline.
Motorsport 8, right? That should be
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
I have a
so-
feeling that they're really that season 2 of Halo Infinite that's supposedly coming, around May.
Crossfire?
I have a feeling they're gonna. Oh yeah,
Please.
Crossfire. But I feel like Halo
They'll get
Infinite, they're
caught
gonna
up in
try
that.
and like almost soft relaunch it once all the features are done.
Please.
Yeah, it's
I'm
still in beta.
I'm curious if we'll see something like Hellblade this year, but I'm thinking that might be next year.
No, based on what they showed, I don't trust that coming out anytime soon.
Yeah.
That looked way too good to be a this year game.
That was the problem. Microsoft, they showed off. Oh, we got Hellblade, we got Fable, we got all this stuff is like so many years out, man. Like,
Hey, we're getting closer. A lot
Yeah.
of this is 2023.
No,
and
that's got-
we're
no,
only
I
a year
don't-
away from
They
2023.
really wanted to show that they had stuff coming up.
I
Just to-
get that, but this is
put it out there.
this is ridiculous, man. I get like
Where's my
one game or
Wolverine?
so, but
like
like, this is, like
2024.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'll happen eventually.
is that
what about
hold on,
Avowed?
hold on.
Where's
does,
Avowed? Where's
No,
where's
does-
it's
Avowed?
not.
does-
It's not. I already know what you're asking, John.
Hold on. Does you know what I'm gonna ask?
No.
Does
It doesn't.
Fable come out before Metroid
No.
Prime 4?
I completely forgot about Fable, to be honest.
I mean, it's not a
No,
game yet.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say
Okay.
Fable. I'm gonna
You
say
think
no.
Metroid Prime 4 comes out before Fable?
I'm saying at the latest, Metroid 4 is next year, and at the
Oh.
earliest, Fable is also next year. So I think Fable's either late 2023 or early 2024. So I think Metroid might just beat it.
I think we're gonna see another GIF of Metroid Prime 4.
No, it
Oh
better
my
not.
God,
NFT.
no way.
Where they say,
that's-
"Hey, we
should do
messed
that as
up